Hi, my name's Eric Anzalone, and this is What Matters Most. Today we're in Hatboro, Pennsylvania at Rena's Rocks. Rena's is a community-centered store where science and metaphysics come together in perfect harmony. It's also the perfect place to sit down and chat with Allison Hayes, better known as the Rock Girl. Allison is a professional psychic medium, a past life channeler, a healer, and high priestess of the stones. In the enduring words of Dee Snider and Twisted Sister, I wanna rock! So let's go inside this gem of a store and rock out with Allison Hayes. Allison, the Rock Girl, is a popular radio and TV personality across the nation. She hosts two different shows, ROCKTALK with the Rock Girl on CBS New Sky Radio and the Sacred Stone Show on BLOGTALK Radio. She's a certified Reiki Grandmaster, a Crystal Reiki Master, an Atlantean Reiki Master. Basically, she knows everything about Reiki. She's an intuitive counselor, an empowerment coach, and an ordained Spiritual-Psychic-Interfaith minister. Whew. Welcome, Allison.
Why, thank you. Glad to be here.
You know, we have some things in common because I'm actually an ordained interfaith minister.
Really?
And yes, and I got an A+ in geology, so I know a thing or two about rocks.
Wow.
But you are the professional, so let's just get right into this rocky road, this path that led you here. You're actually, we're here in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, and you're actually from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes, I'm from Bucks County, New Hope, and I was in Doylestown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Doylestown.
Yeah, and as a child now, you had a lot of experiences that led you to where you are now, right?
Yes.
And you were getting messages from Mother Earth and Spirit.
Spirit,
in the Spirit. Did that freak you out? Did you understand that as a child?
Oh, yeah. I felt very comfortable and peaceful. I had trouble dealing with the general population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I really did. I was lucky because New Hope, Pennsylvania really embraced the kind of uniqueness of everyone. So that was good. And, you know, I went to Buckingham Friends in Lahaska, Pennsylvania, and they really encouraged that. It was when I went off to high school that I had difficulty because I wanted to be normal. Buckingham Friends is a Quaker school that kind of encouraged you to write on the walls and go outside and talk to the trees. And, you know, after I left that school and went out to public school and tried to be normal, that's when I had a bit of a difficult adjustment.
But Mother Earth, like when Mother Earth would talk to you, would you hear a woman's voice? Would you hear?
Actually, sometimes, yes.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought that was normal. I really did. I really did. The rain would speak. The rivers would speak. There's actually a giant, I believe it was an oak tree outside of my 6th grade classroom that would talk all the time, and it was an old man, and he'd kind of croak like that, and it was great. It was very normal.
You were living in a Disney movie.
Yes,
almost.
Yeah, Harry Potter, Disney, one of those. Down the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland. It was great.
Yeah.
It was really great.
It goes right without saying, you have a strong connection with the plant kingdom, obviously, the trees.
Yes, I love trees. Love the older the better. And that's when coming back to Bucks County after all these years, the first thing I noticed is how big they got. And it was really great. And I love the trees. Trees have so much information, and they're actually portals to the other realm.
Do they all sound the same? Like,
oh,
does
no.
the elm tree sound like the oak tree?
No, I have a special resonance, a special connection with pine trees, especially white pine trees. And you know what I love to do, and this might be really great for people to do, is find a tree they really like and resonate, and then go Google the metaphysical meaning, and it'll tell you a story. I love oak trees, but if I had to pick just one, it would have to be the mystical, magical white pines. And they're all about magic, and they love to grow together, and they constantly move and touch each other.
Okay, so then on to, sticks and stones. We talked about our sticks, now our stones. How did you realize that these rocks or crystals could talk to you, or how did you learn? What drew you? Was it their colors that first attracted to you?
No, actually, when I was younger, I loved anything shiny, and I would go riding in the woods or walking in the woods, and I would pick up stones that were shiny, and I started my own little rock collection. However, when I went to school in 7th grade, here's your geology, remember the box of rocks we got in science class? It was about this big, and there was all sorts of rocks, and I remember tourmaline, pyrite, all sorts of garnet, little chips of this and that, and my rock rocks kept coming loose all the time. And I would be like, oh no, they're loose. And I used to try and glue them back. And then I finally said, forget it. And then I realized some of them wanted to be over here. And I was a psychic child, and I would just blurt out things that I knew were going to happen, like I knew they were going to happen. And I used to get in trouble, like, don't say that, you can't, you're telling stories. I grew up a storyteller because I would predict things. And I wasn't really allowed to do that anymore. So I would take my rocks, and I would have kids from school. I would say, okay, tell me, you know, you want to see what the rocks are going to say. And so I would kind of sneak in my psychic readings by saying the rocks have said this and that. And so that's when I got my nickname. A lot of kids started calling me the rock girl because I would take my rocks home from school. Remember the little desks we had? We could leave them in there. Well, I'd take them home, and then I'd take them back. You know, they were my friends. And so I would...
Did they have names?
No, they didn't have you know what? My rocks don't have names. Isn't that funny? Well, that's not true. My giant personal rocks do, but my reading rocks never did because they connected with everyone. However, I would say, you know, someone would say, oh, well, do you think I'll pass the science test? Do you think I'll get an A? Or do you think I'll make the field hockey team? And I'll say, oh, okay, well, pick these rocks and let them tell you. And so they would pick the rocks and put them in a formation, and I would say, okay, you need to study this part of the book more. And so I started doing readings. And so that's when I really got into the shiny, pretty rocks. And so everywhere I would go, I would see some and I'd collect them. Don't you like the rough?
Yeah,
you
I
just
do like
kind
the
of,
rough.
you know, especially since all of your geology and everything,
Yeah.
it tells you a lot more information. I liken it to, you know, you see a woman with her makeup on and without her makeup on, and you get the real sense of who she is when she has no makeup on. The stones work quite the same way.
Okay, now our show, What Matters Most, we're often shooting in this area, in Bucks County, in this area. Is there something about this area? I mean, why we would be so drawn here? Is this like a vortex, or is there a lot of energy here that...
Yes. Oh, yes. It's magical. It's mystical. I love it, especially along the river. Rivers clearly are water. Water is a conductor, so it's conducting energy. And of course, if you look along the river in Bucks County, there's all sorts of trees and rocks, and it amplifies that energy. And just the ivy and the moss, all of that loamy soil, it's rich, it's fertile soil, and it's chock full of information. And what happens is rocks, if you want to charge rocks, the best way to do it is to return it to the earth. The crystalline structure of a stone is exactly the same as a human being. I don't know if you learned that in geology.
Oh, I did.
Yes. Except we're 80 to 90% water. Yeah. So how rocks like to live is good for us too. You know, rocks are really made of an aggregate of minerals, and we as people need minerals in order to survive, correct? And when rocks go back to their natural state, they grow underground, really, and they connect to the soil. The water conducts the electricity, and they get recharged all of the time. So the same thing goes for people. So when we go back and we touch that beautiful, fertile earth, okay, we get charged up. And it's all about healing. Tons of trees, tons of pine trees. And so, yes, absolutely. You know, I do believe in the fairy realm.
I was just going to ask you now. I understand there are lots of fairies in this area.
Yes, yes.
I mean, the only fairies I know about, I learned in Peter Pan.
Yes,
yeah, I mean, is it kind of the same thing?
Well, they have the wings, and there are fairies like that. But actually, there's really great books on fairy, and it's fairy folk, F-A-E-R-I-E, folk, that type. And there's like hundreds of different types of fae folk, F-A-E, fae folk or fairy folk. Some live right under the surface, some live behind rocks. And so just as the rocks and the trees enjoy all of this fertile ground, I do believe it recharges a lot of us who connect to the earth in that way.
Wow. So I do believe in fairies. I do. Come on, Tink.
We have a fairy stone here. Can you pick it out? One that calls the fairies.
One that calls the fairies, and it's here?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, that's it. Yes. Indeed it is.
Ooh.
Yes. How did you know that?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. All right. I don't know how you
Am I a fairy? Wait a second. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Can you be a fairy in a past life?
Yes, you can have. What happens is we as humans carry that fairy energy, the fae folk energy, and it's really our spiritual, our DNA. You know how we have physical DNA, we have many past lives, and clearly this says you are of the earth, and that is
this calls the fairies, huh?
And it's called fuchsia.
Tink, what's up? Yeah, call me later.
Yeah, there they are. Yeah.
I know. What? Are they really?
Yeah. Yeah. I promise you that if you took this is called fuchsite for anyone who's interested.
Okay.
Fuchsite, and it is sparkly. Fairies love sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And I promise you, if you go out in the woods on a night where there's a full moon and you carry that, you will see them come forward.
Yeah, and really, I play, but I believe there are a lot of things that we don't understand. And because of things like Disney,
yes,
now we all think, oh, it's just make-believe, when actually there is some sort of...
Well, it started somewhere,
right? It had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I'm really not giving you a hard time about that.
I know.
Yeah. But Reiki is what opened the floodgates for you, correct?
I started reading all of these self-help books, like Marianne Williamson came out, Shakti Gawain, Deepak Chopra, self-help, and trying to figure out what was going on. And in doing so, I thought, I'll take a Reiki class here and a Reiki class there. And so that's how I really started. Okay. And it really, it raised my physical frequency, and it helped me understand my psychic abilities. And in Reiki training, it's a disciplined technique, and I learned to harness the energy. And then I went to go on to take the psychic training and the Reiki training and realize one was healing and one was psychic. And
you studied ancient civilizations,
yes.
Here I have the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, Star People, Egyptians, and here we go again. Middle Earth people, like
yes.
Frodo and Bilbo and the orcs and...
Kind of, yes. Yes. Before they had names. But I started studying ancient civilizations in 10th grade, doing papers in history. I used to find them in English. Even in advanced French, I found them. Mm-hmm. And then I went on to college to do all of that. And so I've been accruing this information for years. And somehow, when I layered the Reiki in there, I really started to experience running that energy. And I would be doing Reiki, and I would feel, okay, this doesn't feel like now. It feels like I'm back in another time. And then I would get a vision of being in people are going to lock me up for this, okay? In the healing temple of Isis. Now, when you do Reiki, you're channeling energy, and it is a form of meditation, some would say. And so I'm channeling Reiki, la 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 la, and I feel like all of a sudden I'm in the healing temple of Isis, learning how to run healing energy. It was very clear that the client was on it was actually a priestess, was on a malachite table. This is malachite. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there would be 8 healing cats running around purring, and cats are the only beings who purr. Okay, and they raise the frequency for healing. It turns out now I do cat rescue, shocker. But I would just get glimpses, like remembrances of other lifetimes. And so as I took regular Reiki, I would get glimpses of this. And then I started taking the crystal Reiki, where you actually take a stone and you run Reiki through the stone, and you blend, you merge, you marry the frequencies of the stone and the Reiki, which I think that you've experienced earlier on today.
Yes.
And with that, it would take me back to another civilization. So, and then I went on to study Atlantean Reiki, Lemurian Reiki, and Egyptian Reiki. And by connecting to the energy of the stones, what it would do is it would take me to another place in time, and then it would raise my frequency so I could go through the veils of time and actually go back into that lifetime and be there.
Okay, so I get the Reiki, but when you're doing like a psychic reading, how do you receive the information? I mean, are you using it like, let me look into my crystal ball, kind of as like a tarot or, something to focus on, or are you really getting information from the rocks? Okay.
It's threefold. When the person chooses the stones, it aligns their chakra system and their auric field. So it makes them almost a hologram to me, so I can see what's going on in them and their past lives and what they want to see. And their guides come, and they sit right next to them, and the guides tell me about the person. Mm-hmm. So that's one, that's the first part. The second part is I know the metaphysical properties of the stones inside and out, just because I've played with them for a lifetime. So I can look at the stones and see what issues they're saying. This would be love, this would be healing, this would be connecting to spirit guides, also planetary healing, and so on and so forth. So you line them up in a row, and it tells me what issues we're going to look at on a metaphysical level and in what order. So that's about the knowledge of stones. And then lastly, I start touching them, and what it does is I close my eyes, I touch them. It's a form of psychometry, and that's when I get the images. And so the information is channeling through the stone, it's going up through me, and it's sparking some type of intuition and knowledge.
Right, as you mentioned, you did a reading for me earlier, and it was phenomenal. Now, the way I laid out the stones, is it the same is each stone, does it represent the same thing for each person, or can it be different?
No.
So
yes.
Yeah, so this might, when I lay it out, may be different than somebody else who does that.
Absolutely, because there's many different metaphysical properties to each stone. And then what happens is you scroll, I know just by seeing you and that stone what that means. And then I take a look at it with the stone before it and after it, and how you lay out the stones. So it's almost like a sacred geometric pattern, and I read that. How do I know? I have no idea. It just is a recognition.
Because we all have guides, and when I want to pick a stone, like when I chose my stone, are the guides actually guiding me to where to pick, or is this something that's coming from me?
It's not the guides. What it is I actually taught a great class called Intro to Rocks, and explains how rocks work. And basically they're like magnets, and when you align them, they form a strong bond. And when they're misaligned, they polarize. You know how you play with magnets, right? Well, what happens is that your body is based on your chakra system, and your auric field is based on electromagnetic frequency. So you somehow, people say it's intuitively, but energetically, I like to use the word energetically, you go to what your body needs in order to bring it into alignment. You see? So say somebody has heartache, okay, or sadness. Let's talk about depression, okay? A lot of people who are depressed may want to pick up this one because it feels good, but the electromagnetic frequency of this stone goes into the body and helps feed, recharge. It's like, your cell phone dies, you recharge it, recharge that chakra. You see, and that's how it works that's how the person chooses the stone, or the stone chooses. It's just like choosing magnets.
Right.
So many people go to pick up a stone and they're like, nah, I'll pick up this one. And that's what they need. And they're like, wow, this feels good. Because it's aligning a much needed area within the energetic body.
And if you need to fly away real quickly in a little pixie dust, this is the one.
Yes.
So let's, ooh, God, I love this reading. You see that? Let's take a look at you giving me a reading. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a little look.
Let's do it. So how this works is you chose the stones. Each stone has its own metaphysical meaning, but they attune to you. They have electromagnetic frequencies, and your chakra systems draw in the stones. They're looking for the energy to align and equalize your chakra and auric system to kind of give you an opportunity to reach your fullest potential, the highest potential. And actually, it's there. That is the malachite egg. It's the sign of an egg is new beginnings, and malachite is health, wealth, and prosperity. So that's where we're going. I don't want you to get nervous. It's a really great set of stones. However, there's some things that we can attune to along the way. This is lapis lazuli, and what I'd like you to do is turn that over, because it's face down. Aha! That is such a I think blue might actually be a nice new favorite color of yours. What do you think? Yes. There you go.
Yeah, I'm wearing blue today.
Okay. Now, a lot of times with the rocks, you're also getting an attunement, in this case, a reawakening to something in the past, and then an activation in the future. What we want to do is we want to face this forward, and we want to start to align this. This is like a lot of your past, and you have some good fixings, good ingredients to kind of reach back, move forward. So what we want to do is turn this around here. And what I'd like you to do is put one of your hands right there. Okay, and as we turn up the volume, you're actually going to feel, Okay, a little bit of wingy zingy. Do you gonna feel an activation somewhere in your palm? I can actually see it in the, yes, okay.
I swear I'm not making this up. I swear, even before you said that, I was feeling it.
Indeed. Are you right-handed?
I am right-handed.
Okay, now that's your left hand, which is your receiving hand. What's happening is the electromagnetic frequency, the vibrational frequency, if you will, in the stones are activating the receiving hand, they're taking it up the meridians, and they're activating the third eye right here. So whatever you're writing and whatever you're going to be writing is actually going to really come from your intuition. Okay, now your hand is cooling down, you can bring it back like so. You know what the guides are saying? Eric, you're on the right track. Is that a question? They're showing me a question mark. Have you been asking that?
Yes.
Okay.
Constantly.
Yes, you are, because they're saying, Eric, you're on the right track, and they put a big question mark, boom. I know you can communicate with stones. It was in your left hand for quite some time. It has rainbows in it, and it's starting to glimmer. What, are you working on a movie, a film or something? A dream come true?
Well, as a writer and somebody who's creating and all sorts of things from music to whatever, I work on all sorts of stuff. I just got my degree in film last year. So yeah,
This is an award.
An award?
Oh, yes, it's an award. Yes, that's why you're holding it. Yes.
You like me, you really like me.
Yes, I'm not, don't, you know, I hope you play this back one day. Yeah, so I hope that helps.
That does.
Indeed.
That's fantastic.
Very good.
I'd like to thank the members of the Academy, my mom, my dad, Samantha, Court, my 2 pet rabbits. Can you see the rainbows in here still?
I can.
That's fantastic. Wow. Thank you for that reading too. That
you're
was
welcome.
really wonderful. Now you've actually helped a lot of people and transform their lives or have some change their paths and lead themselves down a better road.
Well, I like to say I like to help people help themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you give us an example of some of the people? You don't have to mention names, but maybe.
Okay. Oh, there's so many. What I love to do, the tagline on my website is empowering the spiritual warrior or warrioress within. And it's digging deep and finding all of that good stuff that's within and then learning how to use it and go forth and almost reclaim that empowerment that we've left behind in so many lifetimes. A very good example is I do it through psychic, I do it through healing work, so I'll make this quick, but in a psychic reading, well, this is a good one. It's a blending of both. I'll call this woman Ruth. That's not really her name. But she was an older woman, and she called into one of my radio shows for a reading. And she goes, I work in a nursing home, and I know when people are going to die. And she started crying, and she's like, I don't know what to do. I feel so responsible about it. I don't know what to do. And I said, and you smell the sweet smell about a day or two before they pass, yes? Mm. And she's like, yes! And she's like, yes. And then she hung up. And I said, oh gosh, how can I reach this woman? And I thought, oh Spirit, can you please have her call back? So she books a reading privately through my website, and we talk about it. And what we realize is that she is there to help people understand and not be afraid to pass over. And I said, Ruth, you're a messenger. You're not afraid. We pulled the stones, and then we talked about this in great depth, and the guides came through. And through mediumship, a lot of people who had passed over that she was with, because she would go up to them and hold their hand and then sing the song. And so Spirit told me that she did all this stuff. And I said, a lot of these people are coming back right now. Are you okay? Hearing from them. And she said, okay. And they said, thank you so much for being there. I had children. They weren't there. No one's paid attention. And she lovingly helped them pass. And that song that they sang, and I started to hum it. I'm not a singer. And she's like, yes, that's it. And so she said, well, thank you. That has really helped, but I don't know what else to do. And I said, why don't you come to the Rock Room in New York City and take one of my Reiki classes? Because if you can do this and administer Reiki, what you can do is help them lift out of their body when they're ready to go, and it won't be so painful because they are older and their body is filled with aches and pains. And so months later, she shows up and she takes one Reiki class and she feels empowered, and then she goes and helps people, and then she calls back and she wants more. And she has since gone through the whole Reiki program, and now she's teaching the elderly Reiki to do self-Reiki on them. And so that is a really good example of the word of transformation, absolutely transformation. And so that's really what this is all about.
Do you ever doubt the information that you're getting?
No.
Just using, like, you'll see it with your regular eyes, and then you never doubt what you're hearing?
No, I used to, and I just had to dive in and trust, and the stones give me a lot of validation, but no, I've learned not to. It is tempting, though.
And do you, from all the people that you help, because now there's many people, do you really see the turning point when they've, like right after they've
the aha moments?
The aha.
Yes,
Thank you. Aha.
Yeah, aha moments. And that's what I live for. Yes. I'll be honest with you. Some people get it and some people don't. And it's okay if they don't. You have to just let them be where they are on their path, and you have to understand them and not push them. I mean, there's an art to this whole healing business, whether it's psychic or it's Reiki. But there's other people who get it, and that is the most rewarding part of all of this. And
Do people ever call you back and go, I had that moment, or I had that
Oh, yeah, but a lot of times it happens during a reading or during a Reiki session or a Reiki class. And it's great to see people come in and find clarity and reconnect and find their own power and really go on to do amazing things. And, you know, one of my most passionate kind of venues here is helping them help themselves and find their way, not my way, you know, their way. So.
It's, as always, when we get to this point of the show, I ask this question, and as always, my guest usually answers the question, which you may have just done, but
yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. What matters most to you when you pass on, when your soul is lifted out of those achy bones?
Weepy question.
Yeah. What is it that you want to leave behind?
My message is to take the word "I can't," weepy, and take the apostrophe T, get rid of it, and then turn the sentence into, yes, I can. Oh, it's ending on tears. I told you it would happen. So.
Beautiful.
That's what matters most to me.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Allison Hayes, the rock girl.
Thank you.
Lives, breathes, and literally sleeps with thousands of beautiful stones and crystals. Her messages, her wisdom, and love of Mother Earth has helped many empower the spiritual warrior within, reminding us all once again, the simple things in life are what matter most. Namaste. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. This is Amethyst, and this is all about spirituality and intuition. Here we have blue calcite, and this is about the throat chakra, and it's saying the word voice. We have pyrite. Pyrite means fire in Greek, and it's all about activation. Orange calcite. All right, this basically points forward, and this stone indicates positive change and movement forward. We have lapis lazuli here. It's a beautiful blue color. It's about living one's truth, and in this case, it says writing.